It's like the flies. They're not flying away from the cheese if it's so well smelling. You know what I mean?
OK, who's to blame for all of this?
He is.
Well, let's start with Gordon.
No.
I think yes. I think a failure to regulate throughout the past decade may have something to do with it.
All right, but
Getting
it's
too close to the bankers,
somebody...
spreading the cycle of greed through government and the banks. I think that's all part of the answer. The Tories.
No.
Mrs. Thatcher?
No.
It's usually the answer.
It means he's, of course, ubiquitous.
And gorgeous. I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me there.
There am I trying to defend public school boys, and then you just ruin the whole thing.
Well, you can't change your nature, Ian, you know that.
But he was still there right at the last minute trying to suggest that Obama was in some way a terrorist. I mean, literally, the logic seems to be that Barack sounds a bit like Iraq.
Yeah.
And Obama's a bit like Osama.
Yeah. These things don't happen by accident.
No. And that's it. That's his campaign. McCain's big accusation was, you're very good at public speaking. Oh, that's terrible. Don't vote for Obama. He can string a sentence together. That's pretty suspect. Vote for us. We cannot.
How has Barack Obama been trying to reassure voters that he is an all-American boy?
Oh, has he gone bowling? That's what you have to do to win in America, isn't it? Go bowling, shoot moose.
You're not bowling, Ali.
So, if you could have electrodes implanted in your brain, what would you like to be able to do better?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I say it again. Let's say it again. I wasn't allowed to do something to them. OK, go on then.
You could listen to women better, for a start.
9:45. It's just so high-pitched, it gives you an earache after that.
Did you see what else Boris had to say at the post-Olympic party?
Oh, when he defined the origin of ping-pong as whiff-waff. It was brilliant, that speech. I think the opening ceremony for the game should be just Boris. Forget all the drumming and all. We can't do any of that. Just get him on. 5 minutes, it's open.
Ping pong was invented on the dining tables of England, ladies and gentlemen, in the 19th century. It was called whiff-waff. And there, I think you have the essential difference between us and the rest of the world. Other nations, the French, looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to have dinner. We looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to play whiff-waff. I say to the world, ping pong is coming home.
They described him as an ex-Etonian who once presented Did I Tell You News? Ian, let's remind ourselves of what you said on Question Time about Sarah Palin.
I mean, and this woman is quite extraordinary.
Why is she so extraordinary?
Well, I mean, she's the first sort of good-looking person in politics for a very long time.
So your point is? And are you going to get out of here alive?
I think that might count as a gaffe. Can I just apologise
To the whole panel.
to everybody here, particularly to Alan.
What is it about Sarah Palin you find so attractive? Is it her glasses?
Well, I
Is it
went
the way
on...
she skins a moose?
All of those things. I went on to talk about appealing to celebrity culture, but inevitably I've been misrepresented by the media.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Uradni List, or, to give it its full title in English, the official gazette of the Slovenian Society for the Recognition of Sote Potatoes and Onions as an independent dish.
I don't believe this newsletter is genuine. I mean, why would anybody, apart from as a joke? But that's in a foreign language. Shows a picture of some sautéed potatoes, and I might agree with you.
There they are. They're sautéing it right there. Look.
It's got a blank page over there.
Well, they've run out of words on this one.
What, is there a word shortage in Slovenia?
Yeah.
Well, things are tough there.
I mean, what sort of quiz is this? How are we meant to get the answers right?
Shut up. The first World Festival of Sautéed Potato and Onions. What?
Mayhem as it emerges that certain people in London doubt the existence of our magazine.
Next, Butcher told his what is too what?
His hair is too long.
No.
Butcher told his hair is too long. Oh, it could be, yeah.
It's a perfectly reasonable answer.
Absolutely. Sarah Palin's got long hair, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Attractive hair, too.
Yeah, attractive.
So,
And glasses.
which are attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butcher told his...
If the glasses and the hair were just on their
sausage.
own, would you be interested, or is it... is it just that, you know? If they were on a table, would you just still be interested?
Take it or leave it.
Is this the nag's head? Sarah Palin, cool, I'd give her one. I wouldn't mind her grabbing hold of my sheepskin noseband, really.
On which note we
I'll
say...
take her up, Alaska. And if you're going to say on which note... Are you going to say on which note?
I am.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, it says it up there.
Yeah. Here we go. OK.
How long's that thing been now? I thought you were making up as you're going along. I thought you were bright. You're very bright.
In London, the producers of a local news programme begin to regret the anti-drugs item showing addicts how to... Oh, God, you see, look at that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If you forget it next time, it's written up there for you.
Oh, that's good.
Then there's no chance of making any mistake, then. Have they offered you countdown? Have you signed?
No,
You haven't signed?
I haven't signed.
Do you think you should have signed before you did tonight's programme? They might go, oh, no, forget it.
He can't sign, he hasn't got all the letters yet.
Oh, really?
The whole lid has been lifted, hasn't it, on this Corfu jet set. A world that looks like a Bond movie. Dubious Russians, wealthy financiers, public school boys, Tories, Mandelson, the perfect villain.
Was that a cat? Get a bit sure with him. Not you, Peter Mandelson.
Osborne and this man who hosted them all, Nathaniel Rothschild, are friends. They were at Oxford together. They were in the Bullingdon. There's a marvellous photograph of them in frock coats. Have we got that?
The picture of he's standing on those steps looking like he's desperate to whip something.
Here it is.
That's not the real picture.
That's not the real picture. Here it is.
Are we waiting for someone to invent television? What's happening?
Maybe it's not that.
Somebody's drawing it even as we speak. Tracing paper. He's sort of said, I'm really angry about it, and if George Osborne keeps saying that my account is wrong, I shall produce evidence to show I'm right. Is a rival show being made the same? If we don't get any more laughs, we shift off and loose women come on one by one. I don't know about you girls, but have you seen Brad Pitt?
And the agreement was that whoever lost would buy lunch for everyone else. Yeah. And Nat came up and said he refused to pay because we'd brought in a couple of other people who weren't...
So a Rothschild, probably the richest person in the universe,
refused to pay.
Would buy a baked potato.
Sorry, we need to stop the baked potato anecdote. We've got the photograph. The photograph's come in. It's here. So what goes on at the Bullingdon Club, then?
They get incredibly drunk, trash restaurants, then pay for it afterwards and apologise.
You were in Oxford, Ian. Did you ever come across the Bullingdon crowd?
Yes, one occasionally saw them across a field.
From your quadrangle window?
Yes, out they were, hooraying and throwing up.
Weren't you anything to do with anything a bit like that? Didn't you have sort of Piers Gaveston connections, or...?
I went to the Piers Gaveston Society, which is completely different. That was a sort of...
Was Piers there? Or was Gaveston there? Or...
Piers Gaveston...
I'm trying to make conversation on something I know nothing about.
No, you're doing well. Yes, I occasionally went to those parties, but they were nothing like the Bullingdon's parties.
How has Peter Mandelson reacted to all these relevant... can't even speak. How has Peter-
Relevations? You've got the consonants the wrong way round. It's not going to work on Countdown, is it?
That's an 11-letter word as well. It's no good to you.
You've gone beyond the frame.
I like the way that Oleg is also an oligarch.
It's only one vowel difference, isn't it?
But it sounds like a fabulous cartoon character, Oleg the oligarch. I don't even know what an oligarch... What is an oligarch? Oh, you went to public school, for God's sake. What is it?
Well, I think it actually means ruled by an elite.
Does it?
Yes, it's from the Greek word oligos. Somebody's just handed me a piece of paper with it written.
What they're hearing is that a place and a point for them to raise that, or is it a done deal by the time Trevor Manuel?
It's actually an opportunity for members of Parliament to actually digest and go through the documentation that is going to be presented to the public, and the opportunity for proper engagement is actually after the tabling of the.
There are certain times when that is the funniest joke in the world. Somebody falling over. But Saddam Hussein was walking beside him just then. They could have saved a lot of money. If you show that bit again, you'll see, it's next to Cohen Powell, you'll see Saddam Hussein, they could have saved themselves a fortune. Look, there he is, look. He's walking right next to him.
He's got fat since he was hung.
Lack of exercise.
What are Obama supporters being encouraged to do at Halloween?
Go around McCain's house going,
It's been widely reported on all the political blogs that Sarah Palin's lip liner is tattooed on.
Who would you have tattooed?
Oh, I don't know. Richard Whiteley, I don't know.
Richard Whiteley. The man you elbowed out of the way so your show business career could be pursued to its highest heights. It's always been a bit mysterious. He's deaf, wasn't it? This won't go out, obviously. What it might do, considering what the rest of the programme's like. I won't make jokes about dead Richard Whiteley, no, it doesn't seem right.
Where does Sarah Palin come from?
Alaska.
Would you?
I'm now permanently associated with that joke.
Say something about Richard Whiteley and they'll cut this bit.
Murderer!
According to research at the University of Illinois, which record is best to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation to?
Eye of the Tiger. Boom! Boom! Boom!
Is it Beat It?
I know this.
I left my heart in the outpatients department.
It's Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
It is, yeah. And why?
Because you go, whether you're a mother or whether it's the right timing for the...
That's right, yes, it contains... almost.
Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive!
It's almost exactly the 100 chest compressions per minute, as recommended by the American Heart Association.
It's 103, I think, Staying Alive.
It is, 103 BPM.
How do you know that?
Occasionally I like to stop and start my own heart, just to see if I can.
It passes the time. It makes an afternoon just go by really quick.
It's a lot better than Countdown.
Yeah, exactly.
There must have been a few hearts stopped during the audience watching Countdown.
Well,
Well, that boom.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
The waxwork head was eventually found by a homeless man at Reading railway station who's now claimed his £2,000 reward. Not the first time Paul McCartney has been picked up by a tramp who then made a lot of money out of it.
I just saw the amusing thing of buzzing when all I could see was blue sky. The hand of God eating it or something.
Yes. There we
Paul
are.
and Kevin.
Well,
that's an ostrich.
Mm-hmm.
in a sandwich.
Yep.
Did these mean anything, these? Or is it just sort of for show?
I buzzed ages ago.
Well, last week you buzzed.
Yeah.
Well, I knew you were going to do that, so I buzzed 5 days before the series began.
Space. It smells of what?
Is it Uranus?
Curry.
It is...
You should be ashamed
I'm
of yourself.
sorry. I thought I'd got away with it. There was a long pause.
Good evening. And welcome to Have I Got News for You. I used to be John Pertwee.
Yes, this is Jonathan. It's Jonathan Ross. There's Russell leaving his house. This has been a big fuss. I'm at a bit of a disadvantage over this because I don't listen to his radio show, so I was no way I can actually hear what was said in any shape or form.
So how on earth did you find out what was said, Paul? How did you do that?
Well, luckily, I tuned into the many media that was available.
Oh, yes.
And this phone call that was put into Andrew Sachs, I was able to hear it over and over again.
So you're in the lucky position of being able to be offended time after time after time.
At my own convenience.
That's absolutely wonderful. And that just goes to show what multi-platform broadcasting is really all about.
Exactly.
Is it really a national emergency?
Yes,
Gordon Brown had to be pulled out of an economic summit to give his judgment on all this, isn't it?
Well, it's more important than economic summits. I mean, that's a failure.
Well, the last time we... I mean, the last time we went through this drama was when somebody misnamed a cat on Blue Peter. Isn't that right?
Oh.
I mean, we're in serious territory.
Who's comforting Andrew Sachs' granddaughter now?
Max Clifford.
Yes.
You keep doing that. It's like being at a séance. We're all sat around this enormous Ouija board and you go, oh,
that's right,
Stop doing it.
Come in, running water. Yeah. What did fellow radio presenter Steve Penk have to say?
This is an outrageous example of what can be a very beautiful art form.
Oh, Paul, you're so marvellously intuitive.
Aren't I?
Yes.
I saw him on the telly saying it.
Anything to add to that, eh?
I was having a biscuit at the time. I had a cup of tea. While wondering why Andrew Sachs's number was always engaged.
Who should chip in to bail out the IMF, according to Gordon Brown?
Jonathan Ross.
Well, that's it. That's sorted out. That's brilliant. You see, cheerfulness, practical solutions. Get Paul into the Lib Dems.
Exactly.
That would be a struggle.
What you mean? Not enough gravitas, like Lembit.
Yeah, that's very cheeky. Yeah.
The answer...
Who bucked the trend this week, recession-wise?
Or is it BP?
The answer's Volkswagen.
The answer's Volkswagen, did you say?
No,
Yes.
that may be another answer, but he's actually... The boy's onto it about BP and
I'm
Shell.
36. I'm 36, Tom Baker.
36. We learned this week that someone else isn't suffering in the recession.
Is it Volkswagen? I'm going to say that all night.
Yeah.
Tony Blair. He's...
Is there anybody here bothering that?
He made £12 million last year.
Like a man said, 12 million quid since leaving office.
I'm the man, you see.
You're the man, yeah.
Boy.
I'm the boy, you're the man. Let's have a standing up competition here.
This is all to do with hedge funds. Vince won't know this, but what happens, Vince, is you see, the hedge fund people targeted Volkswagen, thinking stupidly the share price was going down, but Porsche had secretly bought in, unknown to everybody else. You can do this under German rules, Vince. It's quite interesting, this bit. But anyway, so the share price, it's brilliant, this, of Volkswagen, then rocketed. All the hedge fund people lost all their money.
Oh, it's tragic, isn't it, really? This is the news.
Oh.
Oh!
I buzzed.
Yeah,
Yes.
to be fair.
That was quick. Are you psychic?
Well, I thought you
No, I
showed
know
us the
that
picture and then we buzzed. But if the trick is that we listen to the answer and then buzz, I'm perfectly happy.
Is it about Volkswagen?
They could use superconducting magnets to haul the gold to their side of the bus. But then he added, unfortunately, gold is not magnetic. And so it would have to be vaporized to a blindingly hot cloud of plasma. I tried that once. I think it was in the Sontaran experiment.
Did it work?
F***ing disaster.
Was it?
Sarah Palin action figures went on sale last month, soon after she was chosen as John McCain's running mate. There's the Tomb Raider Palin, ideal for visiting John McCain next year.
Well, this is quite a good moment for Ian because he fancies her. Have you got one of these? Have you got one of these dolls yet, Ian?
No, but I'm getting one.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the slutty schoolgirl. Oh!
I wanted to meet you so much when I was a kid. So much. And now look at it.
You're so let down.
My dreams are shattered.
And there's also the Dalek doll. The knitting, it goes knit 8, pearl 8, exterminate.
Oh, well. To be fair, there aren't many knitting Dalek jokes around. You have to... There are the great ones, but that's the best one, to be honest.
I crochet.
There's two.
Two.
You can also get a Tom Baker doll. On sale for $12.99. Or just 3 Venusian quarks. Look, interchangeable heads. And if you don't like your Tom Baker doll, just wait until it turns into a Sylvester McCoy doll. Then you'll really hate it.
You don't think of the doctors as bitching about each other's generation, do you?
Time now for the missing words round, which this week...
Does it have to be so far away?
I don't see very well these days, you know.
Don't you?
No.
Did you mention that before the auto cue came out?
I've given up what? Said the Dalai Lama.
Giving up hope, is it? Giving up hope for Tibet?
Yes, I think you're right, yeah.
A pope for Tibet. No.
Given up hope. Fish fingers on Friday.
Did he say fish fingers on Friday? I don't like fish. Can we have crumble? Can we have apple crumble?
What can be easily recognised by the long neck, jug head and big ears?
Noddy's close friends. The Shropshire sheep.
Ah!
You always sound as though you're related to them. It's a breed of sheep.
Right.
Are we going to go through them all?
No! Having read and reread Sheep from cover to cover, I have now decided what?
Having reread Sheep from cover to cover, I've now decided I'm not bothering with your publication anymore. I realise I've wasted my life. I've spent 15 years living in this bedsit here in Walthamstow, getting your magazine once a month, thinking that one day it's going to be good. I turn to the centrefold, it's the same old sheep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give up that subscription now, and I'm going to go to Cows Weekly.
The answer is, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Bah. What? A common cause of variable crimp.
Crimp? Yeah, so variable crimp. It's when your crimp suddenly goes a bit variable, you know. No, you're walking down the street like this and suddenly you think, hello, there's my crimp gone, my crimp's gone. It's gone a bit variable. And if it happens in a sheep, they hate it because they can't understand. They haven't got brains like us.
And on Strictly Come Dancing, in a desperate bid to win viewers' votes, John Sargent decides to perform the bossa nova wearing only a thong. have to say, actually, Brucey did a joke about me the other week, saying that I'm the spitting image of John Sargent. Obviously very flattered by being compared to a balding man. Still, I suppose it could have been Prescott.
That's Gordon Brown's wife. She's voting. That isn't. That's the new guy. That isn't. It's America, isn't it? It's a historic night. Bye-bye to you.
So, did you all stay up and watch it?
No, I didn't know. But I assumed that the morning's papers would be full of it. And indeed they were. I thought this is a story that's going to go away overnight, you know. They're going to tell everybody at 3 o'clock and then move on. No, I thought this was definitely going to run. But I was interested... Sarah Palin, I'm very interested in her. Bizarrely, when she voted, somebody asked her, which way did you vote? And she said, I'm not telling you.
Change we need. Do they not know how to order a sentence? I always said, we need change, might have been a bit better. Why have they said that?
It's more oratorical, isn't it? Change we need. It's all in the rhythm, the music of Obama's delivery.
How about being a bit medieval and going, change need we?
That's good.
Been good, isn't it?
More of a question, though. You've got to be definite in politics.
Oh, I see, OK.
It's a brilliant strategy for campaigning, because there's nobody who feels like it's all good. I don't want shit to change. I like everything exactly the way it is. So if you say we need change, who's going to go against that?
Some areas.
Still missing the Empire?
Yeah. I'm still missing the Roman Empire.
John McCain looks like somebody you'd see on a packet of rice.
And Obama looks like a corporate pimp.
I don't want to vote for either one of those two.
I'm afraid that's how white people dance, Reg.
It's having a donkey would be difficult because the size of the flap in the back door would have to be enormous, wouldn't it?
Almost as big as the back door, really.
Yeah, you might as well give it a key to the back door.
And that's the problem, because they have hooves.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you can't handle no key if you got hooves. So basically, you might as well not give them a key, take the door out, and make the whole thing a big old flap.
Yeah. You might as well live outside with a donkey.
I would entertain a donkey by constantly teasing him about not being good enough to be a horse.
Look at them. They've got really sad eyes.
You'd be sad if you were hairless. Well, anyway.
Staying with cats, what new invention has been in the news?
I don't know. Why didn't you tell us?
Oh, it's a cat cam.
A cat cam?
It's a camera that attaches to a cat's collar so that the owners can see what it's been up to during the day. And obviously the resulting film has proved thrilling for cat owners.
Yeah.
Across the country, they get to see what their own legs look like.
I think that's fantastic. I'd certainly have it. If I had a cat, I'd certainly put a camera on it.
Have you not got a cat?
No, I haven't got a camera. But I'm intending to buy both tomorrow. At a shop that specialises in things that begin with C. I might get a cagoule while I'm at it. That's okay.
It's the Interior Minister of Iran. He's been forced to resign because he claimed to have a degree from Oxford. Can you imagine that happening in this country? Say a senior figure in the Conservative Party who became a lord and then went to prison claiming to have been at Oxford when he wasn't, when he was at a teacher training college up the road. Can you imagine how much we'd laugh?
Who are you thinking of?
It's gone.
Do you know his name? Ali Cordan.
Ali Cordan. I kept thinking it was Jeffrey Archer.
Somebody called somebody else a leprechaun, and that was then considered racist. And it went to court, and then they decided it wasn't racist to call somebody a leprechaun.
Are you saying leprechaun?
Leprechaun.
As opposed to a leprechaun? Leprechaun, like C-O-R-N.
You say leprechaun, I say leprechaun.
Take the notes of him, he's trying to get on the X Factor. No.
It's what I've always wanted, it's my dream. It means everything to me.
Yeah, it means everything to him.
Everything.
It means everything they're in. They're quite mischievous, aren't they? They do things like put horses' legs around the wrong way, so when they walk off, they fall over. See, if you had a cat cam, you could see the leprechauns doing this. It's the same height. Why don't we put cameras on the cats? It's the best idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, boy. Man, you like Martin Luther King, man. You got a dream, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll take 40 years, but one day I want to see every cat with a camera on its head.
The connection is email errors. This week, Radio 2 presenter Michael Ball introduced an email from a listener with the words, "Someone's written in, it's from Helvetica Bold." He then went on to say, "What a great name, Helvetica Bold." Have you ever heard of that one? No, Michael, because it's the font in which the email was written, you knobhead.
Is it such a terrible mistake?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what Helvetica.
Helvetica Bold.
Helvetica, that could easily been the name of a black woman named her child.
Now, let's play a game. I'll tell you a name, and you have to say whether it's a real name or a font name.
OK.
Poor Richard.
Never heard of it, so I say it's made up. It's not font.
You're as thick as Michael Ball, because it's a font. OK?
Fair enough.
Baskerville Old Face.
Yeah, that's definitely
That's a font, man. I'm on to you now.
That's definitely a font.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, man. I use that all the time, man.
That's a person. No, it isn't. I'm sorry, no, it isn't. It isn't. I just wanted to see your face.
Oh, Brand, you're a very crafty woman.
It's a font.
It is a font.
It's a font. OK. Now, there's only one more left, so you two will have to do it together. Ready? Randy Bumgardner.
Isn't that a leprechaun?
That's what they print the Daily Mail in, isn't it?
Font or name?
Name.
It is indeed. It's a name. And furthermore, he works in the White House, so he's topical and not just a silly name written into the script for no reason.
What's his job in the White House? Is he in
I
charge of
don't really
fonts?
like to say.
I mean, if he comes over to Britain, he'll come over to Britain and he'll be wondering why everybody be laughing at him all of a sudden. All my life I've been named Randy Bumgardner. Ain't nobody laughing at me. As soon as I left Heathrow, even the taxi driver was pissing himself, man.
I think Obama should make him special envoy to London. The Washington.
You can just see Obama going, look at him going to London.
Incidentally, I should point out that despite my surname, I'm no relation to Russell Brand, although I have shagged his granddad. Excitement as Pinky and Perky what?
We turn to our screens in the form of computer animation.
Make TV come back.
Make TV
well
come back,
done.
yeah. How many people here remember Pinky and Perky? Probably not many.
Yeah. What is Pinky?
They were like Ant and Dec.
Yeah.
They were little pigs.
They were little puppet pigs that used to mime the hits of the day.
So like Pinky and Perky making a comeback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the headline suggested.
But since they are fake, they do not truly exist.
Now, don't be silly, Reg.
There's no such thing as leprechauns, but don't question the integrity of Pinky and Perky. They won the war for us.
I go through long stretches on the show not knowing what the anybody talking about.
I've been on a stretch like that since 1992.
Ian and Toby have 5, but Paul and Reg have 7.
7. Well done,
In your face, man! Yeah, boy.
A dignified response, I feel.
Do you think Obama was doing that as soon as he got behind the screens of that stage?
John McCain.
In your...
You know what? He wasn't like that publicly, but I'm pretty sure when he got alone that night with Michelle, they was laying in bed, and he said, "Hey, baby, guess what?" And she said, "What?" And he said, "I beat that cracker's ass."
How would you like to have sex with the President of the United States? Bill Clinton's here?
Who am I?
Now, which one's Pinky and which one's Perky?
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You. I'm Jack D. Sadly, Paul Merton is unwell this evening and we all wish him a full and speedy recovery. Apart from Frank Skinner, for whom this is a dream come true.
There he is, on the phone saying, why aren't I replacing Paul Merton? That's better than a Zimmer frame, you'll admit.
I voted for John 3 times.
No.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You see, the
It's
public
not-
really like him.
Exactly. John was more entertaining to me than watching Rachel Stevens sexing it about the place.
Yeah, we don't want that sort of thing.
We saw a little clip of him dancing. Do you want to see a bit more of him doing
come on.
his
Yes, we
marvellous
do.
passe doble?
I thought it was terribly encouraging. This was a demonstration of democracy at work. You had a series of unelected judges who thought they were making the decisions and found they weren't. And as happens in most sort of regimes around the world, they got jolly cross. And then they said this is a dancing competition and obviously hadn't noticed that it wasn't. It's an entertainment show, and he was very amusing.
Exactly.
And the public just... The more annoyed the judges got... I wish this worked in the High Court. The more the public will was displayed.
Like Mrs. Thatcher, he can say, I was never defeated by public vote, you see.
Or like Gordon Brown.
Craig Revel Hallward called me a lumbering elephant once.
Oh. Did he?
Yes. So we don't... I love the fact I got an R, that's brilliant.
Were you dressed as an elephant? Which kind of gets him off
I
the
wish
hook,
I
if you
was,
ask me.
because that would be less offensive. But
So
I
you were-
wasn't.
Oh, that's What were you doing? very on-
I was doing Fame Academy. Comic Relief does Fame Academy.
Oh, when was this?
Hello, Big Brother.
Yeah.
Coming back at you.
All right, moving on. It's funny that we haven't got any footage of me doing Big Brother.
No.
Ian, are you a dancer? You like a bit of dancing?
Just wondering if you've got any footage.
Would you ever, for instance, at some point dance with Peter Mandelson and, I don't know, Jeremy Paxman and the author Robert Harris? Would that...
I didn't dance,
Oh,
I
good.
sang.
Sang?
I sang a very innocuous version of YMCA's Village People with Peter at a birthday party for a mutual friend.
No, we haven't actually got a clip of it. Luckily the check cleared in time, so that won't be shown. Meanwhile, David Cameron's 4-year-old daughter was asked by a journalist this week what she thinks he does for a job. She said, my daddy reads the newspaper for a living, then added, when I'm watching the cartoons on telly, he switches over and watches himself instead. So, what was David Cameron's response? Did you see what he had to say about that?
Did he put her into care?
Yeah. He said that it was a frankly insulting definition of what I do. She's 4 years old, David. Lighten up.
At the Prime Minister's question time, she was standing up saying, yeah, Daddy, you turn up. And he was going, no, does my daughter know that she wet the bed till she was 2? Sorry, I got a bit carried away there.
Has anyone else ever stood up on this programme before? That was an exciting moment.
Yes, I think Kirsty Young did.
Oh. Actually, Russell Brand went to the loo, didn't he? Oh, he sat in this very seat.
Yeah, he didn't go to the loo in that seat.
No, I hope not.
I'm actually standing up now, thanks. Did you know how she discovered that the affair was going on? She said, I looked at the screen and could see his character having sex with a female character. I was so shocked that I can't recall whether they were in bed or on a sofa. It doesn't really matter because neither of those pieces of furniture are real, are they? Then his character started to go country and western dancing, and my suspicions really started to go.
Do they call it online dancing? Oh, sorry. Well, he's back next week. Do you think Paul's sitting at home going...
Very easy for impressionable women to see someone incredibly attractive on screen, only to be bitterly disappointed when they meet them in the flesh. Obviously, it's not always the case.
Jack Barmy.
I'm a bit distracted because you're wearing sort of red socks and riding shoes.
Yes.
He's going to the pirate audition.
Yeah. Sorry to bring
That's
that
okay.
up.
I like to match the furniture.
Yeah. It doesn't quite get...
Can you two meet virtually somewhere?
I think so, yeah. Hello, Miranda. Guess what I'm wearing tonight?
Piss off, leave me alone.
So it was you?
I was in the supermarket and the girl behind the counter asked me what a courgette was. She did genuinely say, "What's this?"
Was she working there?
Yeah, she was the person doing the beeps.
Oh, she was holding a courgette. She was holding a courgette. She didn't just say, "What's a courgette?"
No, she was... Sorry, yeah.
It's quite a tricky thing to describe.
Let me explain. She was holding the courgette and went, "What's this?"
Was it not wrapped?
It was just as it...
You bought one courgette.
I live alone! I bought maybe two. I bought loads of courgettes. I'm constantly having parties.
I love a courgette party.
It does explain why he was so jolly cross the whole time, doesn't it?
It might
Jolly
do.
cross.
There you have.
You mean homicidal maniac?
I think that was the Daily Mail headline at the time. Hitler, jolly cross.
Anyone here been mistaken for anyone else?
Yeah, Margaret Beckett.
You
ever Someone say quickly you're more attractive than Margaret Beckett. Quick.
You've got a lot more hair.
That's it. I've just got a lot more hair. Thank you.
And you're very much more pretty. Yes.
Oh, thanks. What a spontaneous compliment.
Frank, how about you? You've ever tried to pass yourself off as someone else or been mistaken?
I used to, fun enough on the swimming thing, when I tried to chat people up in Birmingham in my youth, I used to tell them I was a channel swimmer.
Ah.
I don't know why, it just made me sound like I might have quite a lot of stamina. And it explained the smell of goose fat.
At the next meeting of the British Iron Collectors, Angela will serve cream teas whilst we get the chance to look at her what?
What about a steaming squirter?
4 inches high, then what?
Host, have I got news for you?
4 inches high, we won't...
I don't care what the answer is. You've done it now. You don't get the answer. Ian and Miranda got the point because...
No, come on, it was a joke.
Or not a very good one.
Got quite a big laugh.
So, 4 inches high...
Hold on, Quentin gets a go.
He doesn't, he's on your team.
So, what? He might say something great.
Well, go on then.
Not now.
Go on then, Quentin.
4 inches high, then we won't enter you for the high jump. That was...
At least it didn't upset the host.
First you have a crack at me, then you stitch Quentin up by making him do that joke, which wasn't funny.
I didn't. What am I, a psychic?
Ah. Is it, "I'll have a vanilla tub, please, young man"?
I thought the caption was "Paul Merton returns after operation."
And I leave you with news that as celebrations for Prince Charles's 60th birthday continue, Camilla gathers all his... I'll go back with that again, can I? Just...
No.
I'd rather do it now than when they've heard the punchline. Yeah, you can talk.
Yeah, but you can't.
It was going to happen.
This is Alistair Darling's pre-budget report.
Alistair Darjeeling?
Alistair Darjeeling. Yeah,
that's a much better name.
That's a better name.
If we start calling him that now, then everybody will eventually be forced to call him Alistair Darjeeling.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, start now.
The revolution starts here.
Yeah.
This is Alistair Darjeeling's pre-budget report. There's also plans to introduce a higher top rate of tax.
Oh, this should do it.
Yeah, this is a big sympathy get outside the studio.
Yeah. People who earn more than £1 million a minute might have to pay more tax.
No, it's 100,000 a year, I gather.
Is it?
Yeah. I haven't looked very closely, obviously. But, most of the time, I think people in that situation are very happy to pay tax. But I have friends who feel... that paying more tax in order to compensate for the fact that a lot of bankers have messed it up completely for the last 10 years is quite annoying.
Beautiful South American boy.
Yeah. That's a Barry Manilow song.
That's a sad person.
Is this Barry Manilow's core audience? Very unhappy.
I think that's Jonathan Ross's love child. That
Right,
girl.
yes. I don't think it is that. I think it could be a story about people in America who have been imprisoned and their punishment is to be played Barry Manilow music and they sit there and they say, OK, just don't play side B, I'll never do it again.
You are absolutely right.
Really?
Yeah. It's the town of Fort Lupton, Colorado. If you violated noise regulations, you have to be made to listen to Barry Manilow for 1 hour at full volume 4 times a year.
4 times a year?
Yeah.
Not even his fans listen to it that much.
Would it work?
Would it work? No, it wouldn't work. No, you just sit there for an hour and think, I've got to listen to Barry Manilow, then they go and smash a car radio up.
What else do offenders have to listen to, apart from Barry? Any ideas?
Sort of missed this story myself.
It's Barney the Dinosaur. They have to listen to that.
Oh, yes.
Half as good. We've got a little clip of that there.
He's definitely going to crack that one.
Harriet Harman crusading against the advertising of prostitution. The poor old prostitutes collective have been flat out all week trying to talk sense to people.
That is their job to make.
You are always unimaginative, Ian. Their argument is deal with the traffickers, don't steamroller everybody.
The average client, they're hardly going to say, are you freely available for no strings attached, untrafficked sex, and the trafficker's around the corner with a gun? I mean, they're not going to say, oh, no. I mean, you're taking the word of the English collective of prostitutes rather literally, I think.
Well, I
Why wouldn't
assume
we?
that they know their own industry.
Why would they be telling the truth?
Well, why wouldn't they?
I never thought it'd be between Jermaine Greer and Ian Hislop, and they'd be debating whether or not you can take a prostitute's word. I really didn't. This is pretty much as good as my life's going to get, I reckon.
Well, I do hope not.
You know, we need the expert here. We need Angus.
I think, honestly, it's the first time in 6 years somebody said that.
What's David Tennant controversially been holding this week?
A skull?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's holding the skull of a guy who died in the early 80s, who willed his skull to be used at some point in a production of Hamlet, and that's what they've been doing. Yeah, as Yorick, yeah. I think the temptation to do a ventriloquist act in the middle of that would be too much for me.
Yeah.
That's why you've never been Hamlet. Alas, poor Yorick. And you'd have to turn and look at the audience and come back.
And then you could do the emu with it. Go and attack Polonius.
That'd be ridiculous.
Australian man David Thorne wrote to an accounts department, Dear Jane, I do not have any money, so I'm sending you this drawing I did of a spider instead. I value the drawing at $233.30. 39, so trust that this settles the matter. Regards, David.
What did they say to that?
Well, it didn't work.
Should have at least done 8 legs on it, really.
Well-
Yeah, really, he cheated them on a leg.
Well, this is the thing, you see. The whole matter of the legs came up. She returned his email and he questioned its authenticity, saying, "Are you sure this drawing of a spider is the one I sent you? This spider only has 7 legs. And I do not feel I would have made such an elementary mistake when I drew it."
In a year's time, it'll all be our currency. It's that old joke, isn't it, about 2 goldfish swimming around and the guy looking at it says, "Well, you know, see, the one in the front's called Bob." He says, "Well, how do you know that?" One in the back's going, "Bob."
Do you do any other impressions?
I can do Alec Guinness. It's in the film Kind Hearts and Coronets. You know the film with Dennis Price and all that? He plays the part of the old vicar, Alec Guinness, and at one point he says, "The view from my west window has all the exuberance of Chaucer, with none of the concomitant crudities of the period." Think of me as like a funny Rory Bremner.
I can do a dripping bucket. And a car boot, which goes like this. Like that. I'll close it. What did art historian Tim Marlowe have to say about this? Do we know?
Don't bother me now. I've just broken up with my wife and I'm halfway through a bottle of whiskey.
Please don't say things like that. That is, let me hurry to say that's not true.
It's more than a bottle of whiskey. I withdraw everything I've said about this man. I know nothing about him. I'm sure that his wife, if he is married, is more than happy with him.
His wife works for the BBC.
His wife...
She's the producer of The Late Show.
She's gone upstairs from that position.
Right. Again, this
to get away from him.
Gordon Ramsay says to me...
you want to go public on this?
We are in his kitchen.
Of course
cooking
you are.
Just cooking a meal.
And he...
The rice is bubbling away.
Are you allowed to eat Kilroy silk?
I'm sure he'd love it.
Oh, I've got an image in my head. I can't get rid of it. While we're on the football, we all love football, don't we? You love football, don't you?
Go on, kick the ball in, go on.
Yeah.
Kick it. Yeah, go on, hit the ball.
We all love football. Let's have a look at some
football.
Let's have a look at some football.
I do love it. It's
Here's
awkward.
some football.
The Sun was very irresponsible, though, because there was a very alarmist headline which said, "Santa and 4 elves beaten up." In fact, I think we should say it. Any small children watching, Santa is OK.
Yeah. He won't be able to deliver any presents this year. Because he's recovering in hospital.
He is OK, and he definitely exists, by the way.
Definitely exists.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how could he have had the shit kicked out of him?
But the parents don't seem to have behaved awfully well, do they? Give your children a lovely treat and say, "This isn't very Christmassy. I'll make it more Christmassy. I'll attack Santa. I will beat up his elves and I'll pick a fight in the gingerbread house. Then it'll be a lovely Christmas."
They were queuing, some of them were queuing for 4 hours.
What, just to punch Santa?
That was the longest queue of all.
Meanwhile, continuing our festive theme, what is worrying crimpers in Norwich?
The hairdressers are not allowed to offer mulled wine to their customers anymore while they're doing their hair. Is that right?
That's absolutely right.
Because the customers might spill the hot mulled wine on themselves and die!
The other thing is you probably don't want your hairdresser knocking it back, do you?
No.
You can come out look with a haircut like Arthur Scargill or something, yeah.
Shouldn't think it's a big problem for you and I, Andy, really. This Christmas.
Shall we just... Ian was doing a joke about me not having much hair there, Paul.
I noticed that.
Yeah. So we'd like to do some material about height next.
I said we, Andy.
Did
It was jointly.
Oh.
I said it's not a problem for you and I.
Oh.
It wasn't an attack, it was an attempt at bonding.
No, now I look... Now I look paranoid.
Yeah.
And deaf. Oh, no.
You know people are talking about you, but you can't hear what it is.
Shall we drag out what was said in the week about... who was it?
Liz Hurley.
Liz Hurley?
Oh, Liz Hurley.
Yes.
Tell us what the line said in the newspaper.
It was very, very flattering. It said Liz Hurley was wearing a dress that was so low, her cleavage looked as though she had 2 Ian Hislops in there.
You've got a little bit at the front, so are they slightly hairy, her boobs?
I merely pass on the image.
I like to think she's got hairy boobs now. It makes me feel better about mine.
No, she read out the Queen's speech. But interestingly, the best bit of the Queen's speech was not given to her. Gordon's plan to say you don't have to pay your mortgage for 2 years, he didn't put in her speech. He kept it for himself. Poor old Queen gets the boring stuff about no 3 for 2 in the offie and it's all going to be miserable. And, oh, Uncle Gordon comes out and says, oh, you don't have to pay your mortgages.
Was that the Queen you were doing an impression of then?
Yeah. Or that might have been Uncle Gordon. It was a very bad impression. I was thinking of him as a terrible Santa. The whole government is a sort of Lapland.
Which member of the cabinet for you personifies a dead reindeer stuck to a shed?
I think it would have to be Peter Mandelson.
I think she picked the wrong tune.
Yeah.
But apart from that...
Surely I am the walrus of all the tunes in the world.
She's got other talents as well. Anyone know what they are?
Work in the call centre.
Now, according to the Mail, she can strike a nonchalant pose. Which,
Have we got a photo of that? That's the biggest threat to walruses in the wild, though, isn't it? They're nonchalance.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have a killer whale sneaking up on them and they're just going, oh, hello. You know.
The killer whale takes a bite and the walrus goes, oh, really?
Too boring.
Ian and Sarah, your turn, and I've turned the triviometer up to max.
Oh. Oh, it's gone off.
The technology couldn't handle max.
Yeah.
Let's go back to medium.
I'll just turn the triviometer down to medium and change the fuse on it. Hang on. There we go.
So this is the last question in this round, but we don't get the guy at the bottom, John Barrowman, so he's just put up there for no reason at all.
His agent's just very insistent.
Really?
Yeah.
He is in every other show on television.
There's been a bit of bad publicity, but I think I can get you on next to the walrus that's playing the saxophone. They won't use you, but you'll be there.
Yeah. That wasn't the part of him that they wanted on the screen.
I see, yes.
Do you remember when Blair went to visit him, Berlusconi was wearing a bandana for the whole time because he'd had a hair transplant.
Yeah.
But he wasn't admitting it, so he said it was sort of pirate look. Yeah. So, just days of high-level summitry with a man with a thing on his head.
Actually, the fact that he would rather people thought that he was mad enough to do a whole summit dressed as a pirate than they'd have a hair transplant. Yeah. Well, it's certainly true that his regular judo partner, Vasily Shestakov...
Lovely woman.
Yeah. And which highly respected figure had a high-level meeting with Vladimir Putin this week?
Was it Pope?
No, it wasn't.
Is it Esther Ranson?
No, higher than that.
That's right. Higher than Mr. Ransom, but
lower than the Pope.
Are you sure that's right?
Yeah. I know there's almost no one in that gap.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I'd be interested to see whether you agree with me, as he is someone more important than Lester Ransom, but less important than the Pope.
OK.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
You pitched him absolutely right. Yeah. He's our British entry this year, is he not?
Is he?
Yeah, isn't he going...
Well, we haven't got a tune, we're just entering Andrew Lloyd Webber. That could have been better phrased.
He's going to write the entry. I'm sure I read it in the paper. Have I made this up? No, thank you very much. It's rather sad I should know it, but...
Yes, I wouldn't have thought. You're the... Of course, Ian's the Eurovision expert. he'll be banging on about Eurovision for 20 minutes in the middle. Mr Berlusconi's party, Forza Italia, is actually named after a chant used by AC Milan football fans. In a similar move, the Liberal Democrats are thinking of changing their name to We're Shit and We Know We Are. Which means, at the end of this round, it's... Ian and Sarah... Nope, that's the wrong way around. Which means...
And you call the Liberal Democrats shit.
Which means, at the end of this round, it's Paul and Andy with... You see,
Can I just point out that Vince Cable saw the recession coming? Anyway, you just see if you can see the monitor.
Why don't you just say...
Vince Cable also got a massive laugh by calling Gordon Brown Mr Bean, which has to be one of the lamest jokes I've ever heard outside centre court in Wimbledon.
Well, would you try reading this one, then?
OK. This isn't a joke, this is the scores.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic metaphor for New Labour, isn't it? Hanging on for dear life and going round in circles.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
No.
That's a level of skill that's very rare to find. Presumably not shot in Britain, that.
No, that's from America's Got Talent. It wasn't bad, but the guy was really a singer.
What are you going to do about David Ross?
I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to tell you now. No.
What are you going to do about David Ross?
Nothing, la, 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 la.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah, there was you saying, I stand by Lee Jasper, and all he had to say was la la la.
This is the guy who beat you?
Yeah. Well, can I... Mind you, it's this programme's fault. No one had heard of him until he was on here. I mean, he was sitting there, next thing you know, he's mayor.
The first point of recapitalization was to save banks. We not only saved the world, saved the banks and led the way. It's probably because you've got this empire thing going.
I like the idea you think we still have an empire. Gosh, I thought history was badly taught over here.
I'm intrigued by your glasses. You seem to lift them up when you're reading.
Well, because I needed to see far away, but not to see close.
I understand.
Do they have bifocals in America?
They're not allowed to marry.
Oh, sorry. I can see the ticker at the bottom of his show. I was a bifocal.
Who did Alistair Darling get to meet this week?
David Walliams. I
Yes.
saw it in the paper.
Dressed as a lady.
Was he?
Yes.
That must have been competition with David Walliams.
Alistair Darling actually looks like he's falling in love a little bit.
Which one is Alistair Darling?
The one with the silly eyebrows.
What is he doing?
I don't know, you can't see where his hand is.
Is the Queen seriously buying cheaper Christmas crackers? Is that a true story?
That's what I'm asking you. What other cost-cutting measures is the Queen taking in the run-up to
Is
Christmas?
she getting cheaper Christmas crackers? I'm answering my own questions here. I could stay at home and have as good a time as I am now.
So could we.
Yeah.
No, you're doing very well.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice to be patronised by a man who's brought so much quality to the world of television.
Isn't it full of students, the post office?
That's a long time. I mean, I did that.
I did that as well.
Yeah, so did I.
They and they work.
We should have a reunion. Sit around a load of parcels unproperly addressed saying, oh, don't worry about that.
Bet Ken never thought I'd been a post office worker.
Did you join the union?
So, and should we use much more fantasy to help us? And that's, I think, what we're going to turn. When I talk about values, I think we need more fantasy to use our intelligence, and not necessarily to absolute equality, where it's when, I think rules has been over too much, and rules needs to change. So
I'm sorry,
it'd be easy
to... idea what you're talking about.
She was on there promoting some bras and pants.
Well, who's going to buy them now?
Exactly. I don't think you buy them for women who talk. I don't know why I said that. It doesn't matter.
Should we pretend it didn't happen?
Would you mind?
What a charming carpet you have here.
For $15.99, Dawn French's autobiography, Dear Fatty. That's not Dear Fatty, that's extortionate.
It's all right laughing at the Queen, but don't laugh at Dawn.
What's been the news recently that dogs might get jealous about? This is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you.
Change the subject. I don't choose this. I'll get it. I wanted to move on, and they just keep putting these
Jerry,
questions
you're not
in.
the slave to those cards. Burn them. Burn them.
Chuck them.
Chuck them. Get rid of them.
Chuck them.
Let's Don't worry about any of that. Who's got any jokes?
No, that's liberation. Doesn't that feel better?
Yeah,
It does feel better.
Yeah.
But now I got to rip this card too because we had 5 more things.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of
Get rid of that too. All right. Hey. This is a punishment. All right, moving on. Everybody buzz.
Oh.
We haven't seen the picture, but I'm willing to give it a go.
This is the governor of Illinois who is trying to flog Barack Obama's Senate seat for about £500,000.
Is that how it works in the States? You just buy the seat?
No, well, no, it's not supposed to. Yes. Yeah.
Haven't 3 of the last 10 governors of Illinois gone to prison?
4 of the last 8.
4 of the last 8,
People get it right.
How dare you suggest we're not very corrupt indeed?
And Randy Bumgardner.
Who's Randy Bumgardner?
Oh, I'm so glad I was here to hear you say that.
Has Bumgarden or whatever his name is.
Has he been Bumgardner, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
We know his name's Randy Bumgardner. There's no 2 ways about it. What was his parents thinking of?
Certainly
What was
no
his mother thinking of when she met a guy called Bumgardner? Yeah, I want to marry you.
Randy Bumgardner's father is called Delmar Bumgardner, and his...
In an attempt to take the curse off Bumgardner, people consider the Delmar.
And his mother was Loretta Mincy. Just as well they didn't go double-barreled, or Randy would have been a Mincy Bumgardner.
Well, the TARDIS, I don't know if I've made this up or something I remember. Was it originally the TARDIS going to be, instead of it being a police box, was going to be a huge bubble that sort of travelled through time and space?
We have the original blueprint.
That's the original TARDIS blueprint. As opposed to somebody drawing a circle at Wednesday afternoon in the office. That'll do, show them that. It's not a complete circle, is it, either?
No.
Well, that's where they
That's
get
the
in
door,
and out.
yeah.
Oh, you're going to get in there. Oh, just, well, I didn't design it. But it was the fire brigade said something along the lines of this is, you know, because I think they had a tumble dryer sort of drying clothes in the middle of the night, and they said tumble dryers, washing machines, dishwashers, all these can catch fire. How can a dishwasher catch fire? Where is the fire element coming in? There's lots of water. Am I losing you? There's lots of water in a dishwasher.
What are you all talking about?
We're very interested in domestic appliances.
Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Oh, my gosh, I almost forgot that.
Yeah, wow. This is the bit they edit out every week. So let's bear that in mind as we struggle towards something funny.
You put the show on every week?
Yeah. We thought every day would be torture. Ah, yes, this is the shoe journalist, the guy that threw the shoes at President Bush. And there he is, still not getting it.
That obviously is correct. It is, of course, the incident of the suicide bomber.
Yep. So we got the footage of the shoes?
Of course we have the
Right.
footage. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
شكرا جزيلا.
Hang on.
It's a round of applause.
Hang on. Who'd like to see that again in slow motion? Here we go, here we go. Look at that! Oh, that parted his hair.
He's ready for the next one. He must have two.
He's got fantastically good reactions, Bush.
Yeah.
And if he'd seen the recession coming at that sort of speed...
What if the guy threw a shoe at me? It's like going to a political rally and having people yell at you. It's like driving down the street and have people not gesturing with all 5 fingers.
I like his description of his everyday life, which involves walking along, people shouting at him, people heckling, people giving him the finger. It's all normal. Actually, it means he's unpopular, but he hasn't twigged this yet.
Yeah. Did you see how slow the Secret Service were, though?
They weren't even in the room.
They were. They just... The guy could have unloaded Imelda Marcos's wardrobe at him before they did that. See, that's why he just waving them away, and then that was it. But yeah,
but it is quite encouraging, isn't it? I mean, he didn't throw a bomb at him. He threw a shoe, and that's progress. It is.
If Lee Harvey Oswald had a couple of flip-flops, the world would have been a different place, wouldn't it?
One of your Lib Dem colleagues, I believe, wants to become an international terrorist negotiator and would like to talk to Osama bin Laden on behalf of the free world.
I know, but I'm not sure I can share this information.
No,
is it highly privileged? Is it lembitopic? I said the first silly thing that came to my head.
It is indeed Limp Bizkit or whatever he's called. You were Lib Dem leader, as we know.
Yes.
And you voiced...
Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting Charles did it as well.
Yeah, so, after you, yeah. Bernard Madoff is the latest swivel-eyed, two-faced, lying bastard to emerge in the current crisis. Well, he is.
Part of your ire is the fact that you've lost quite a lot of money.
Yes. Not to him.
Not in this scheme. That would be stupid. You lost it in a completely different scheme.
No, I tell you what it is you work very, very hard and you give your money to a bank who then give it to AIG, who then give it to Manchester United, who give it to Ronaldo and then say, I can't have it back. Just remind me, though, Ian, privatised banks with...
Royal Bank of Scotland?
Yes, there you go. Which means I now
that
own
doesn't make me
private
an
eye.
idiot.
Makes
well, it does, really.
And it means I own private eye, which is great.
You can have our debts.
Yeah. Well, I've got them. Yvette Cooper, who is something or other at the Treasury.
You know every detail of some really dull car's internal structure.
I think we're beginning to understand how you lost so much money.
Yeah. Not paying attention. Yeah. The papers called it the world's biggest fraud. Well, second biggest if you count last week's Strictly Come Dancing.
Now at last, something that people can care about.
Yeah. Doesn't care about bombers in the Middle East, but Strictly Come Dancing.
Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should turn, you know, our wars into reality shows, and the audience should get a say by telephone votes as to what site we bomb next.
When you say we don't mean the Irish, obviously.
I meant...
Just
no,
want to
I
clear it
clearly
up.
did not mean no.
No.
I meant we who live in this country,
Oh,
this
okay.
great multicultural nation that you clearly do not approve of.
Well, that's the Scots offended, the Irish. So, next stop, Wales, Jeremy, is it?
I offended the Birmingham people, but we weren't recording at the time. Anyway, according...
You just said it.
I did do that, yeah. I might have just done. I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah. This is a very nice Lib Dem MP.
I haven't actually brought this up, really. I just, for any reason, not specifically to attack Ms Featherstone, but actually... did you call her an old boiler?
No.
Or was this in the lead-up to you fancying Sarah Palin? You said there was only one attractive woman in politics, and you were sitting opposite Lynn Featherstone when you said it. And then you said it was Sarah Palin.
I didn't say I said it was... I said it was the first attractive person who'd been involved in politics for a long time, forgetting I was on Question Time with a lot of politicians.
How can you forget that you're on Question Time with a lot of politicians? Like, it's not slipped my mind once that I'm on Have I Got News for You.
This week, a pilot on a flight from Cardiff to Paris had to turn back because he was not qualified to land the plane in fog. It's amazing. They've got an airport in Cardiff.
That's the Welsh.
One more.
Did you hear about the Englishman who had an inferiority complex? He thought he was the same as everybody else.
I know how those passengers feel. I flew the other day and heard a terrifying announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing in Manchester. Another one.
Is this how you do it, Jeremy? You just get an atlas and just put the pin in at the end of a sentence. I hate... Oh, look. Milton Keynes.
Do you think I wrote those?
No,
See,
it's
just...
like when I read your column, I think, God, I wonder who did this.
Beast.
You have to understand that throwing a pen is very insulting in journalism circles.
You're right.
You know, Jeremy's
There's quite
thrown
a
a
lot
pen
of
at me
blood.
because he has no use for it.
No, there's blood. Oh, it's ink. I've actually
Either
got
that's a
ink
red
down
pen or
in
he's
his lot's
actually
face.
drawn blood.
Oh, he's drawn blood.
Yeah. I think you'll find it's ink.
Is it red
black pen?
Yes, it's a red pen. It's what I use to correct Private Eye every week.
Ian, please be my guest.
Now look. Is it? I have actually stabbed Ian.
You have
Hislop
actually
on
stabbed
television.
me live on air.
I was
Which is great,
provoked.
because
You
I've been
heard him
hoping to get
provoke
under
me.
your skin and you got under mine.
Would anybody like to go and get a bandage
No,
for him?
no, I'm fine.
Because I think it'd be quite funny to end the entire rest of this.
No, God, we're not going to cover this up.
Sorry. Do police forensics want to come in and take a photograph?
No, I'm waiting
Ian,
for
I'm
security
very
guards
sorry.
to take him away.
No, goodness. Do you think it was an accident? I told you I've got a party to get to. If I murder one of the captains,
No,
we
it's
can be
fine.
out.
Yeah. I accept your apology. We're friends.
No, I apologise for throwing a pen at you. It was intended to hit you. Well, I've never hit anything I've ever thrown at anybody before. I did once take a penalty in a game of football, the only game of football I ever played in, and the nearest that the ball got to the goal mouth was when it was on the spot. And the moment I kicked it, it was moving away. It was something. Have you got enough blood left in you to think what the answer might be?
I was just thinking about getting a tetanus jab, actually.
Am I the first person to have actually physically wounded somebody on the show?
Yeah, but I thought it was very funny.
The reason I wear glasses is because I had a pencil poked in my eye when I was 5 years of age.
Really?
So that was quite a harrowing moment for me as that pen sailed in front of my face.
We need one of those faces that Ian does when he looks disgusted, so I'm going to get one of those now.
No, my face doesn't move now.
It's got a spasm.
It will in a minute.
It's frozen with botulism from your biro.
What potato-related incident led to a member of the... What potato-related incident led to a member of the clergy turning up at A&E recently? He's already pulling the face and he doesn't know the answer yet. His face is too small for his head, isn't it?
It always looks as if somebody's tattooed their face on the back of somebody else's head.
This is all about how
I'm
you
quite
stop
interested,
it.
actually.
No, don't give him that. That's where you're getting the questions for this from.
That's a good... Oh, Stu. There is. But you can have it after. It's what's called a peace offering. I've just realised you're only the second person I've wounded in my entire life.
And I've just remembered who the first one is. Mr. Piers Morgan.
Exactly. That's so unfair.
On Ian Hislop's team tonight is a comedian who told The Times recently, someone asked me, do you mind not being on telly anymore? And I started thinking it's probably worth doing it, just so some... Oh, dear, oh dear, why do you say something so complicated?
It just comes natural to me.
On Ian Hislop's team tonight is a comedian...
deeper every time you do it. I mean, what is that helping?
I think it does. A bit of gravitas might just carry me through.
Let's do it as a carol, shall we?
On Hislop's team tonight is a comedian who told the Times recently.
Someone asked me, do you mind not being on telly anymore? And I started thinking it's probably worth doing some telly just to stop people saying that.
Frank Skinner.
And so, in my State of the Union, or my speech to the nation, there's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again. Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Talking of which, according to The Sun, thanks to the recession, Britons are turning to what? Cheaper activities.
Is it sex?
It is sex.
Of course
Here.
it's sex. What else is it going to be?
It's the Sun. Well, it's not that cheap.
It's...
But don't take the Victorian thing too far.
I haven't had sex since 1876.
That's what he said. That is a lot better.
I don't have a job to edit this show.
Suddenly you've become Alistair Darling.
Let's see what former world champion Mika Hakkinen has to say about this.
Do you think that Formula One does need to look at cutting its costs?
Yes.
And he's a racing driver, is he?
Yeah. 0 to yes in 60 seconds.
Paul and Noddy, here's yours.
200 butchers went to work with cleavers, knives and choppers, and it took them nigh on 7 years to cut off one of his trotters. One knuckle bone they had for lunch, and in Hyde Park they took it, and they had to boil the serpentine in a van and attempt to cook it. That great incredible one, the edible part of Christmas thing.
Is this about knife crime?
What is going on?
It's something to do with Sarah Palin?
It is to do with Sarah Palin.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It is a pig. What was...
Pig and a lipstick.
Pig and lipstick.
It's a phrase which they use in American politics. They say you can have a pig, and if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
It's still a pig,
yeah.
But it was an unfortunate phrase, and she
you
made
fancy her, didn't you? You said that on this programme. You fancy Sarah Palin. You said if she walked into this room, you'd probably kiss her. You said that, didn't you?
I did not say it on this programme. I said it on Question Time.
Yes, indeed. That's right, you did say it on Question Time.
I'm not going to say something silly with a proper audience.
Let's have a look at Sarah Palin. Ding dong, eh, Ian? Look at that.
No, rather curious expression that she's saying to the bear, couldn't you have waited till you got into the woods?
How much did the entire US election procedure cost? How much do they reckon it cost?
£800 billion.
That's a silly figure.
Was it more than the Second World War?
It was probably about the same. It was $6 billion.
Well, that's nothing. I mean, figures like that don't bother us nowadays. That's what most people are in debt on their credit cards. Those smaller people in the audience, they'll pay that tomorrow. When you grow up, you'll be paying for all of us.
You know,
cheery thought for Christmas.
You know, John...
I'm the ghost of Christmas future. You're going to pay 50% tax your whole life. Bye.
Do you think the BBC will put that out on Christmas Day now, instead of the quiz? And now a small word from Ian Hislop.
Obama's cabinet will include Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State.
Carry on. You must have seen a man playing with his moustache before.
What was the big Conservative win in May?
London.
That's right.
Did the news get up to you guys?
That was a blonde-haired guy, wasn't it? Yeah.
Is Boris still allowed to come back on this show now, is he?
I don't know. No, I don't think... I think he's been asked, but I don't think he wants to do it now that his plan worked. Not until he wants to be Prime Minister when we see him again.
Yeah.
Then we'll be on the show a lot.
Yeah.
Paul and Noddy, your turn to pick a category.
What do you fancy? Christmas songs?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, go on then. Christmas
OK,
songs.
Christmas songs.
I got you there! There's no Christmas songs category. This is a topical news quiz. Happy Christmas to you all. And Noddy, listen to this. It's Christmas! That's the way to do it, you lightweight. Well, I've just got time to say that I'm in Panto this year.
The sad thing is he wasn't booked, he just wandered in. And...
I'm looking forward to our games, because I think the whole opening ceremony should just be Boris comes on, makes a short speech, we laugh, it's over. That's it. It doesn't cost any money at all. We all save money, very popular. Boris says, we're all going to win at Whiff Waff.
I watched the Paralympics, and I cried about 50 times, and every time someone won a medal, I cried at the Paralympics. But I did this vetting thing. I suddenly felt the need to vet everyone who was in the Paralympics. So when we watched the opening ceremony, me and my girlfriend spent the whole thing saying, he looks all right. What's the matter with that? What's the matter with that? If you can carry a flag, it can work.
Terrible. Are you taking over as benefits minister?
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing. The new Pakistani general has just been elected. He's not elected. This guy took over office. He appears he's going to bring stability to the country, and I think that's good news for the subcontinent.
And you can name him.
General. I can name the general.
And it's...
General. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Rap star P. Diddy has his own private jet, complete with cabin crew, who start each flight by pointing out the exits here, here, here and here.
I smell rehearsal.
It's the first time I've smelt it tonight.
First time since 1990.